Hey everybody, welcome back to homerecordingmadeeasy.com and here on my YouTube channel. In this time out, we're going to take a look at yet another plugin by Apogee. This is their Pultec EQ emulation, officially licensed and endorsed by Pultec Pulse Technologies. About 3-4 weeks ago, I did a Pultec EQP-1A shootout on a live stream prior to learning about this Pultec version by Apogee. And some people in the live stream in the chat said, hey, how come you're not checking out the Apogee one? I said, well, I didn't know they made one. I said I would do a follow-up video on it and kind of compare it to a couple of the favorites that came out of the live stream. So if you want to see that live stream, I will link it in the description box below. It's pretty cool. You should check it out. But we're going to listen to it this time quickly, just on a master bus, actually, on a session that's completely unprocessed, no plugins at all, just a quick little static mix, which is the way I like to do this with plugins, so you hear exactly what this and only this plugin is doing to the audio signal. We're going to compare the Pultec by Apogee here to a couple of the favorites that came out of the live stream, as I mentioned. The Universal Audio Pultec, as well as the Waves Puig Tech, Jack Joseph Puig, in conjunction with Waves, did a version of their Pultec. Now, obviously, there are 3 separate Pultec plugins. There were 3 separate actual Pultec pieces of hardware, so they are going to sound a little bit different because they're emulating a very specific unit. Nothing wrong with that. Just want to say that up front in case you don't know that. But let's see which one we might like better, if, or which one's different, or which one we like better, if there's any here. So my favorite from the live stream that we did was the Universal Audio. When we did it, we compared it to this Puig Tech amongst a few others. So let's first start with, we have them all bypassed right now. I first want to start with the Apogee here. So what we did was, on the master bus, I gone ahead and a little bit of a 30 hertz here, a little bit of a boost to give it some nice low end, because as I said, there's no processing on the raw audio at all. And at the same time, did almost a couple of dB of attenuation. We boosted 5K, or almost 5 dB at 8K. I know these are not in increments of dB, but just for sake of reference, about 12 noon here on the boost at 8K, and a little bit of attenuation here at 10K. So as you can see, all 3 plugins are set up exactly the same way. The only difference with the Waves is they have the transformer 60 and 50 cycle kind of hum, modeled. I shut that off because the other 2 don't have that switch on it. And that's it. So here's a little section of music with drums, bass, keyboards, piano, and some acoustic and electric guitar. And they're all in this one will unbypass this. We're going to listen to the Apogee first and see what it sounds like. And then I'm going to bypass it and then cycle to Universal Audio, and then bypass that and cycle over to the Waves Puig Tech. Okay, so keep your eye on the power button. Here is the Apogee. Just to give you a reference, actually, I should probably do it this way. Let's start with no plugin. Let me give you kind of a reference of just the raw audio. Now I'll bring in the Apogee. Universal Audio. Waves. Okay, so I instantly hear that the Apogee has a much bigger low end, much fatter low end with the same settings than the other 2. The other 2 seem a little bit more similar, but they do all sound completely different. So let's do this again. So the Apogee here. That's before. Okay, so that's the Apogee. Now here's Universal Audio with that same passage of music. And listen to the low end is not as thick. That's before. Back to the Apogee. Okay, so the Apogee definitely has a much bigger top end, and the Universal Audio, even though it's a little bit thinner on the bottom, then it makes it appear that it's a little bit more open on the top. Let's compare that again to, let's compare the Universal Audio to the Waves Bleak Child. So we'll start with Universal Audio. And you can hear the snare change tone a little bit between these two. And obviously it would sound a little bit different, but they sound much closer to each other than the Apogee. So now if we wanted to, let's say, compare, can we get the Apogee? We'll close the Waves one here. Can we get it to sound like the Universal Audio with not so much bottom end? Well, I'm sure we can. Let's see. Let's just play with the Apogee here for a minute. The other thing I noticed, now the low end is much closer to each other, which is great. The other thing that I noticed that the Universal Audio, listen to the toms, the low tom fills that he's kind of playing on. It seems like with the UA, it gets wider. It's a little bit more width to it. I hear the toms a little bit further out than I do with the Apogee. Feels like things are a little bit more narrow sounding. Again, put on some headphones, you can really hear the difference. Again, everything is set pretty much exactly the same way. So let's try that again. Let's listen for that specifically. We'll start with the Apogee, and then when those tom fills and those low floor toms come in, I'll try to switch in the middle and hear how it pushes out. Seems to get a little bit bigger, a little bit more sense of depth with the Universal Audio when I feel. Yeah, maybe the width isn't as much as I thought, but it definitely sounds like the UA has a little bit more front to back depth. I don't know why that is. It just seems like the sound stage is a little bit deeper and a little wider to me. Even when I listen to the acoustic guitar, it sounds like with the Apogee, things just get a little bit more narrow sounding. Not that it's bad, it's just that's just what I hear here. So let's see again here with the Apogee. Let's listen to the acoustics in this little mix. I'll turn them up a little. pretty close. So outside of the low end being a little bit more with the Apogee, again, I just turned it down a little bit and it seems like now the low end is pretty much in. These two are very, very similar. Again, they both sound fantastic. And again, they're going to be a little bit different, right? Because they're two different physical hardware units. If I had to pick, well, here's the thing for me. I think this is great, the Apogee. I think it's great. If you don't have an EQ, a Pultec EQ in your collection, this is a really great one. If you have universal audio and you already have the Pultec, then do you need this Apogee one? No, it doesn't sound different enough or any better or anything like that. I don't hear like, wow, that just is a better emulation. Universal audio always does a fantastic job at doing these emulations of these old pieces of gear. So you would be hard pressed to find a company that's going to make a better emulation of it or a more accurate emulation. UA does a really good job. So if you don't have universal audio and you need a Pultec, and you should have a Pultec, this is a great contender right here. This Apogee sounds really, really good. Does it sound better than the Pultec? I don't know. I don't know that it sounds any better or different. Let's listen to that. I just bypassed universal audio. Let's check that out quickly. Let's cycle back and forth between the Pultec and this one here by Apogee. Here we go. Here's Apogee. This one's definitely louder, so we're gonna have to cut this down a little bit. Let it loop around one more time. Very close. I may tend to lean a little bit towards the Apogee on this one, but again, if you have this Wave one, do you need to have the Apogee? No. This is a $29 plugin. Most of the time it waves 30 bucks, right? Most times this is $100, I believe. Universal audio is $149, but with universal audio, you also get the MEQ5, which is the mid-range bands and stuff. So you get more than the EQP-1A. You get actually 3 of the Pultec plugins all in one for 149 bucks. These you're just getting the EQP-1A. So I think they all sound great. They're all a little bit different from each other. I was curious to see, is this one, the Apogee, really any better or sound like it's a better, more accurate emulation? No, not really, but I think it still sounds great. I think if you have either one of these 3, you would have a winner on your hands. Either one of these sound great. Like I said, I personally lean a little bit more towards universal audio because I just used to their plugins. I like the way they sound, and I think they sound great. But any one of the 3 would be an excellent choice. So I hope you enjoyed this video taking a look at the Apogee Pultec. Again, I did this for a few of my followers who asked me about it, and I hope you enjoyed it. Again, if you want to go see the live stream where we took a look at some additional Pultec EQs, I'll link that in the description box below. Go check that out. That was a lot of fun, and see which one you like. We did, I think, one by AK Multimedia, one by PreSonus, and I think one other. So we did a few more versions that are not here today. So if this is your first time here, I want to give you a couple of free gifts. So if you have never been to homerecordingmadeeasy.com before, go on out to homerecordingmadeeasy.com. Link will be in the description box. I want to give you a free mixing course worth about 50 bucks. It's my gift to you just for saying thank you for checking out homerecordingmadeeasy.com. And after you take the free course, if you want to check out some of my additional training on recording, EQ, compression, mixing, mastering, so on and so forth, and you want to take one of the paid courses, I want to give you a discount coupon code. The coupon code is YouTube25. You put that in at checkout, you'll get 25% off any of the training courses at homerecordingmadeeasy.com. So go check that out. And also let me know below in the comments which Pultec out of these three that you like better. Do you have another version that you like even better than that? And what instruments do you find yourself using your Pultec on the most? This time we're listening to it on a master bus so we can hear all the instruments together. But if you're going to use a Pultec in your mixing session, where is like the go-to element? Is it vocals? Is it acoustic guitar? Is it bass? Is it snare? Is it on the master bus? What is it on? I'd love to know. Leave some comments below. And until the next video, I've been Dave with homerecordingmadeeasy.com and mixingmadeeasy.net, and I will see you very soon. Take care.